Oh, look, here we are, Lydia. Another edition of Foodie Friday on the Alive and Social Network. Here we are.
Foodie Friday, coming in hot. Always fresh, never stale. Thanks for listening, podcast world.
I do appreciate that. Wow, we got a full room here today. I'm glad they got a window AC unit put into the Alive and Social Network studios.
Feeling blessed that we have so many treats in here, human beings and delicacies.
I too am very happy.
And we have treat people.
I've got a little rumbly in my tumbly already. George Atzadakos is here. He is the proprietor of Minnie's Diner and Mini Apple Pie. I can't call it a food truck. I can't. It's like a gigantic big ass trailer is what that thing is, isn't it, George?
It's like a barn on wheels.
It's
actually.
a barn. And I might add a really lovely barn. I mean, that thing is just spectacular.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. So your partner in Minnie's Diner is Jackie right there, Jackie Dusosky, and you've got the diner thing going on in Rogers, Minnesota,
Yep, that's right.
And
new owner as of February. Really
you
excited.
guys together are the new owners then? Is that how it's working out? Or?
Yeah, my family started it.
Okay.
And then we were getting so busy at the restaurant, and with the trailer, we had brought Jackie in to take care of all the restaurant end aspect of it, and
Nice.
then we were doing more retail and fairs and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Very cool. And then also Maggie McCauley's here. She's the sales and community outreach person at Cookie Cart, one of the coolest community service food organizations in the Twin Cities. I mean, I really mean that with great gesture in your direction and Cookie Cart's direction, because it just does great outreach in the community, but also what it teaches those young kids in North Minneapolis about the world of business and money and baking. It's super cool. Welcome to the show here, my friend. Good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here today. We're really happy to share the word about Cookie Cart.
It is wonderful indeed. We'll get into some questions to each of you about what you're doing with the worlds of Cookie Cart and Minnie's Diner and the Mini Apple thing, the barn on wheels, as George so aptly put it. And right out of the chute, I feel I need to say, wow, George Atzadakos, Greek name. Greek family in the restaurant business. How unusual is that?
That's all we know how to do.
Yeah. Lyd and I were joking. She didn't get the joke at first as we were driving over here, and I mentioned you and your last name, and then I started going cheeseburger, Pepsi, no Coke, and then she was like, whatever. I have no idea. My dad's just rambling again, and then I had to explain back in the early days of Saturday Night Live, as it was such a New York centric show then, they just make fun, and they still do, but they really made fun of so much New York stuff that Belushi and Aykroyd and all those guys, then they made fun of all the Greek diners, and how the language issue was one thing, and then the menu, it's like, you come in, I'd like a chicken sandwich, please. No chicken, cheeseburger, and that was the bit,
Exactly.
It wasn't much more to it than that, but it was so damn funny.
I thought you were stroking out again. I thought you were going in the home. I thought the time had come.
I like how she said again. So this is not a one-off occurrence here at all on Foodie Friday or life in general around the Turner household.
No.
As we like to do, questions coming, other things coming, as we like to do to get the show started, it kind of loosens the atmosphere a little bit, aside from the Xanax that I crushed and put in each of your glasses of water here. And I gave Maggie two, because she looked a little shy on the front end here especially. We do something we call the Foodie Friday 5. And so we're going to ask you all each the same set of 5 questions. I'm going on my file because I know I got a blank sheet here. I got a 5. I got the 5 right here. I got my 5. And Lydia started last week, so I'm going to start this week. Sound all right?
Fine.
You all right?
Sure. I guess do whatever you want,
Whatever,
right?
yeah. I guess age before beauty, I guess. So there you go. The Foodie Friday 5. And we're going to start with you, Maggie. All right, Maggie?
Yep.
We don't know how much of a food background you have, but, we're going to find out, during the course of the show, but, especially with the Foodie Friday 5. Okay, ready? Maggie McCullough?
Ready.
All right. What's the first thing you ever made by yourself in the kitchen that you had to cook?
Yeah, I think it was a blueberry pie, actually.
Jesus, that's overachieving, man. What?
How old are you?
Yeah, probably about 10. I don't know.
Okay.
Something
Wow.
like that. But we have a cabin up north, so Betty's Pies is really big. So I got a cookbook, and I put 3 tablespoons, it was supposed to be 3 tablespoons of butter, but I put 3 cups. So it started a fire in the oven. But it was like amazing.
It did what now? It
started a fire in the
fire in
oven.
the oven. That's what I thought
Yes.
you said. I had to hear it again.
Yeah,
What the?
yeah. So that was probably the first thing I made all by myself. itself.
And well, now fire in the oven. I mean, we got that part. You know,
Yep.
it's like the military. Fire in the hole. But you still ate that pie then? Is
Yeah,
what
it
you're
was
saying?
amazing. Yeah.
Blueberries and butter? How can you go wrong with
Yeah,
that?
exactly. That's sort of like a crumble without much crumble. You know,
Yeah.
can I have another spoon of that, please? You know, another cup of pie.
Yeah.
But now you've made it since.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right,
Now
yeah.
it's good.
And now it's better. Get a little
Perfected.
more dialed
Yep.
in. Okay.
little
And
bit.
is pie sort of a main thing for you that you like to make too?
Well, now I just have so many cookies that I don't bake a lot. I don't really bake any.
Time to revisit the pie world a little
I
bit.
know,
You've got
I
a
know.
guy here who's
Exactly,
cooking mini
yes.
apple pie.
I can
All right.
learn.
And we have fire extinguishers in our trailer, so we're good.
Perfect in the barn.
Got an Ansel system at Minnie's
Yeah.
Diner. Everything's
Yep.
looking good.
Yep,
All
come
right.
on in.
All right, Jackie Dusowski, first thing you ever made by yourself in the kitchen that you had to cook.
I would say chocolate chip cookies. I
All
had
right, nice. Yeah, a little
classic.
cookie narrative there.
Yeah.
Looking good.
yeah, and they actually came out pretty good for my first time. I just copied the Nestle Toll House
Yeah.
recipe on the back.
On the bag.
So,
Yeah.
the most frustrating part was I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters that all basically dove into the bowl before I could actually put them in the oven. So I think my first batch probably produced 3 cookies total.
Because
It's
of
a little
of
frustrating.
Eating
but
the batter?
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly.
I
And
mean,
how old were you?
I was probably 9.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember making cookie dough and getting yelled at for,
Yeah.
"You're kids. Do you want some cookie dough? This is fun. We don't even need to bake anything.
No.
Just eat it.
Hey, kids.
Want some raw egg?"
Yeah, well, with a family in the food business, so I'm guessing, things started a little earlier for you, maybe? I mean...
Yep, I was probably about 7, but my story is kind of boring.
Well,
Eggs.
Let's hear it.
Eggs.
Well, let's go. We've heard that one many times.
Yeah,
We
started
probably-
off with eggs.
I think we've probably had eggs as the answer more than any other thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Eggs and French toast.
And French toast, yeah, absolutely. And so 7 or so.
Yep.
Over easy, basted,
Scrambled,
Yep.
yep.
And that's been the
Classic.
biggest
Yep.
one there too.
With
so.
olive oil.
Oh, sure. So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you got the
So
narrative.
parents have farms in Greece, so they get olive oil shipped over. So,
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
real
good stuff.
Real good.
Yeah,
Real
yeah.
good.
Oh, polikala, polikala.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, and
That's
Doxy,
right.
and Doxy. You had it all going on
I
there.
didn't know you were Greek.
Oh, I lived in Greece for a year and a half.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. That's all I know.
Okay.
That and a few swear words,
Yeah.
but I'm a humble man. I'm a
Yep.
kind and generous man. I certainly hope so. Lid. All right, here we go. Round 2, second question.
Second question. All right. So on Foodie Friday 5, we try to demystify the term foodie and with the pretension that's kind of associated with it. So question number 2, Maggie, what's the most pretentious food that you crave? Where someone you would request this item or dish or cocktail or whatever it may be, and someone may look at that choice and be like, "Oh, well, Maggie's getting the truffle fries again."
Look at Macaulay with her foie gras. Well.
I think it's probably some sort of tartare. Like
Excellent.
tuna tartare,
Oh,
beef
nice.
tartare.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like it.
Mm-hmm. Somebody would look at that and go, "Don't you know that's raw?" Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Nice answer. Good answer. I love tartars. Beef tartare,
too.
especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an egg yolk on top.
Darn right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Now you're talking.
Jackie, what's the most pretentious food you crave?
It's pretty simple, but I like the ahi tuna fillets.
Solid. Yup.
But they have to have lemon dill on top of them for
Yep.
the flavor.
Yep. Got a little
Love 'em.
something there for sure. Nice. Nice.
What about you, George? What's the most pretentious food you crave?
Well, mine's a Greek dish. It's called fava, which is basically split pea,
Yep.
yellow split pea. It's very simple. You just boil it in water, a little salt, and then it gets very creamy. You pour olive oil on top, and you dip bread in it. It's delicious.
Sounds like
Yeah.
something I need to make today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Interestingly, that one sounds just a little more earthy than really pretentious.
Yeah.
And that's good. I like that. Very good. I'm going to change the order because George has had a chance to think about every answer, going from Meggie to Jackie.
did this last week, too.
I know. I'm shuffling it around. We're going to give Meg a little advantage this time around. George, Foodie Friday 5. Which person in life taught you the most about food?
My parents.
Your parents, yeah,
Most
mom
definitely.
or dad, or a little both eat,
Both.
50-50.
Yeah. Well, my dad, he was always in the restaurant business. So I spent a lot of time in the restaurant. And, he would cook at home, like when we'd have big parties at the house, but he would always help my mom. But I was always right by their side, helping them cook and watching them.
and learning things, and
most definitely.
when did you start wielding a knife?
Oh, gosh, I don't even remember. Probably around 10.
Okay, so eggs at
Yeah.
7, knife at 10.
Yeah.
yeah. and then gas ovens at 12.
Earlier than that.
Earlier than that, yeah. Repairing gas ovens at 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you're in the food business, you learn everything. Which includes repairs.
Oh, most definitely. There's always that.
Yeah. Keep the keeps the margins a little bit nicer on the ownership side when you know how to repair your own stuff. Jackie, which person in your life taught you the most about food?
I would say Babci, my grandma, my dad's mother. She was 100% Polish, and growing up and visiting her, she was always making something from scratch in the kitchen, and so it was
the best.
It was awesome, and so I miss her, and I really enjoyed growing up with that kind of authentic background.
And was there an affectation I heard you say to say her name? Did you say Babci?
Babci. It means grandma in Polish.
Yeah, very cool. Babci.
Yep.
Babci. Would Babci? Would she use any recipes, or were a lot of those things like no? She just knew exactly what to do.
She knew exactly what to do,
and measured with her hand and all that. I love that. I love that.
She passed away when I was about 10 or 11, and so as an adult, I asked my parents for her recipe book because I had found out there was an existing one, and so when I looked through it, for example, her pierogi, it said butter, flour, sour cream, salt. It didn't even have a measurement in there for how much. It was just the ingredients.
Figure it out.
So it took a little playing around with it, but yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, it was cool.
So did you access a few other pierogi recipes, sort of get a baseline, and then you kind of, now I know what Grandma was getting, what Babci was getting at here. Yeah, because with nothing there, how do you know where to start?
Right.
Suddenly you're putting 3 cups of butter in the pie.
Right.
You don't know.
And I did ask some of my aunts and uncles, so they were able to help me a little bit with it. But yeah, I got it down now.
Yeah.
So
all right, very good.
Is it the pierogi recipe that you kind of stick with today, or is there another recipe that you?
It's the one that I stick with today.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, Maggie. Which person in your life taught you the most about food?
Yeah, I would say, probably the Food Network taught me the most because my sister and I would just sit there and watch. And, I grew up in a small town in northern Minnesota, so there weren't a lot of options.
Yeah,
so.
where'd you grow up?
Detroit Lakes.
Oh, yeah, I love Detroit Lakes.
Yeah.
DL, the big DL.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But really not a person? Or if you're pointing to the Food Network, was there one personality on the Food Network that you gravitated toward more than others?
Yeah, I love Ina.
Yeah,
my
good
sister
answer.
and I, we just watch Ina all the time.
I agree. Yeah, she's the matron of it all. She's the mama foodie on the Food Network. Like Sue Zellickson is here locally, mama foodie. She's the mama foodie on the Food Network. Yeah, I love her stuff too. I think we probably have 4 or 5 of her cookbooks at home.
Yep,
me too.
Yeah, barefoot anything for her. All right, Lid, number 4.
We're hopping out of order. Jackie, the smell
All right,
of
nice. Changing it up even more. All right, look out, Jackie.
the smell of this food makes you feel the hungriest.
Rosemary, and it's not technically a food; it's an herb, but I love it.
On some bread or
love
focaccia.
It on everything.
Yep.
I love it so much that I even bought a plant of it and put it in my kitchen so that I can just smell it all the time.
Excellent.
Probably why I eat nonstop.
Do you go in and just rub leaves and then put your fingers up
I
there?
just love it.
Yeah, I do that. The sage trees that you get and the rosemary plants. Yeah, I just keeping them around so you can just
Smells so
Or
good.
basil.
Huffing.
or basil too. Yep, huffing. Just huffing.
No, this is PG-13.
Yeah. Well, it's not gasoline or airplane glue that we're talking about, or are we? Like you said, George. Yeah, just the having the basil plants and just rubbing your hands through them.
Yep.
And just
Spearmint.
I love it.
Any of those
Aromatic.
oily plants that bring you all that flavor and stuff like that. Yeah, love it.
Maggie, what the smell of this food makes you feel the hungriest?
Yeah, I would say something like pizza, lasagna, more of that marinara sauce. Yeah,
A little bit of bread, a little bit of tomato,
Yeah.
cheese. Can't go wrong.
Get that combo going. The smell coming out of the oven.
Yep.
Like every step of the smell too. What I mean?
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
you get that doughy smell. If you're making pizza with fresh dough, obviously you get the doughy smell, and you get that little cornmeal that you lay down on the wooden countertop or whatever to make it a little more
The burnt cheese.
to grease the skid, so to speak. Give it a little more ease in and out, and then all the freshness of the veggies, and then some basil or whatever may be going on there, and then putting it in the oven, and then in the oven you get that whole sort of 180 degrees of smell from start to finish too, which is why I'm always guilty of kind of just continually opening it.
Which is why it takes a half hour to cook a pizza in the
Why
house.
exactly? Why is this pizza taking so long?
But it smells good.
Exactly, it's wafting. Don't you want a little waft? Aren't you huffing like Jackie? We're huffing, man. Come on. Alrighty.
George, the smell of this food makes you feel the hungriest.
It's not necessarily the food, but when people are grilling outside.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, no, that's it.
So
man.
it could be burgers or
Charcoal
Yeah,
eating.
exactly.
Yep.
So
Yeah. The food
driving
is-
around
the
in
food
the
is barbecue
yeah,
or grilling, right?
Yeah, driving around in the summer, I'm starving.
Do you have a favorite thing you like to grill?
Steak.
Yeah.
I love steak. Yep.
Any kind of rub that you put on it, or you just keep it classic, just steak to grill
Well,
into mouth?
no, I do a couple different things. One, we have a Minnie's Greek seasoning that my dad.
curious.
It was like my dad's recipe, but same thing with my parents. They never wrote down quantities or
okay.
anything like that. So
Yeah.
it's like, so when I got a hold of it,
Secrets.
I had to figure it out and make it standardized. So.
And everything to taste.
Exactly.
Whatever you want.
Most definitely. So, it's pretty basic. It's just garlic, oregano, salt, and pepper. But the combination of everything it just is perfect. So I like to do that. But also, a friend of ours owns Wyzetta Bay Spice Company. It's in Rogers, and they've got like 500 different blends of just whatever, and it's top-notch quality stuff. So I just go in there and just kind of have a free-for-all.
No kidding.
So
Yeah.
what would you like today?
Yeah.
A sizzle steak, blah blah blah. Prime rub. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah. I mean, he's got like just unique things.
Where's he accessing that stuff from? I mean,
all over the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
he even has like sea salt from Hawaii. You want black, you want white, you
Pink.
want red. Yeah,
Yep.
pink. So he's got good sources, and it's top notch. So. You don't have to use much of it,
No.
which is nice, but it's really fun to play around with.
He's a spice king.
He is. So yeah, he does a lot of wholesaling, but he does have a small storefront. It's just fun to go in there and see all the different blends that he's got. So
now in Rogers, why Wyzetta Bay? Did it start out in Wyzetta Bay?
Yep,
Then? Yeah, okay.
yeah, as a retail store.
Got it.
And then they started doing more private labels and wholesaling. So then they went to more of an industrial end. So, but they do have, like I said, a small storefront where they cater to the public.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
most people don't know it, but it's there.
Where is it on 101?
Yeah, right off Main Street
Yeah.
in Old Rogers.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Oh, we love Old Rogers.
Yeah.
It is really a cute little awesome store. There's so much variety to choose from. And I mean, not to date my age, but when I walked through there for the first time when George brought me in, I literally felt like I was in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood and you were going in and seeing what your neighbors are doing. And it's just such a nice little setup they have. Like there's shelves, there's workers. It's very sanitary, very clean. And they were just the friendliest people. Like it was awesome. It's a really neat little store that they have there.
Did you take off your jacket and put on a sweater?
No, I didn't, but I
You
did.
wanted to.
I was very nostalgic walking through there.
Get your slippers on, Pa.
Yeah,
It's a
it was really
smelly
great.
day in the neighborhood, a huffing day in the
No,
neighborhood.
no. Oh, I'm being labeled.
We're stopping this theme. We're stopping this theme now.
It's too good a one. Come on.
It's Friday.
She teed it up, man. How can I not hit the ball down the fairway? Come on.
I can only imagine walking into that store and just getting
Yeah.
hit with all like the little scents everywhere,
Yeah.
and like the evocative memories that come with the scents. And
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I had I picked up some product and then I went to get new tires put on and I had it in the truck still, and the guy who gave me my keys back, he's like, "Man, your truck smells really good." Yeah, it's garlic and
Well, it's kind of funny what you said about rosemary, because I've done that before. I've taken, planted rosemary out in the herb garden and then cut off stems of that and just slid it underneath the front two seats of the car.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And just let it desiccate and dry out, so the oils, are evaporating
great
into the
idea.
air.
It smells awesome.
And especially in the summer, because the car gets so hot.
Yeah.
And so those oils are just like, I gotta
Cooking.
go
They're
somewhere.
baking.
I gotta
Yeah.
go somewhere, and they just fill the smell in the
Awesome.
car. and it takes away the reefer smell. So that's good.
Rosemary.
Yeah. Officer, don't you know?
PG-13.
We're inching. We're inching.
See, now you got something on me. You got something on me, Huffy Dusowski. All right, I'm going to start with Meg. Meg, final question. Did we do all three? Yeah, we did all three, right, Lit? On smell? All right, Meg, what's your guilty pleasure food? Trashy food, whatever, canned Hormel chili. What do you go for it, girl.
I like ice cream.
That's a
A
good one.
specific ice
Yeah.
cream? Because people say that, and it's like, no, it's Sebastian Joe's raspberry chocolate
yeah.
chip. That is all that I like.
Mm-hmm.
I really like pistachio gelatos, that sort of thing.
Good choice.
Very good.
Pump House Creamery is just starting to carry cookie cart cookies, so they're making ice cream sandwiches.
Nice.
but
nice.
they have
Nice.
such-
Very
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, so they have such amazing flavors.
Speaking of which-
sea salt
Oh, my
caramel.
God.
We're going to crack open this box.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. We'll take a
Yeah.
break in the Foodie Friday 5 because Meggie brought some cookie cart cookies. And
looks awesome.
We'll waft. We'll waft.
George and Jackie brought some mini apple pie here, and so God, there's a whole lineup there. How many
Maggie,
cookies we got? What do we got in there?
I don't know. Are
flavors?
you sick of cookies?
No, surprisingly, I'm not.
How are you so skinny?
I go through
okay.
phases. Right now I'm on a peanut butter kick, but so it changes.
Protein.
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
like we got some snickerdoodle,
Yeah.
some oatmeal raisin, some double chocolate cookies, M&M cookies, chocolate chip classic.
Maggie, which one's peanut butter? Because I love peanut butter.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, I don't even. Did they put peanut butter in
I
it?
don't know.
Probably not, because allergies. We don't often put it in
Oh yeah,
boxes.
yep, I got you. Yep,
Yeah,
I
so
understand.
that's a ginger snap. It has a bit of cayenne pepper in it.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So
With
Nice,
cayenne?
nice.
Oh yeah, ginger and cayenne or
Yeah.
any kind of those things going together.
Me too. Come and grab some.
All right, so
I'm going to try one of these. What kind would you like?
okay, we're letting you know the smell is really good. We're going to have to share because we don't have Smello podcast. Worked in here, but we're working on that. A Smello podcast would be pretty cool.
Really
wouldn't
good.
it?
Really good.
If you could just click on your smartphone or your computer screen while you're listening
We're
to the
working on it.
podcast.
Yeah.
You're onto
And
something.
then coming out of the speakers, you'd get can you smell that ginger with the cayenne? That would be great.
Or they could just order them online and then eat them while they're listening.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Might not
excellent.
work out as well when we're doing the Lazy Gardener show. Bobby Jensen and I do the Lazy Gardener show, and we're talking about manure. That wouldn't work as well. I'm just saying. You got to make the point here.
The first thing I noticed when I opened up the box to take a sneak peek at everything was the consistency of the sizes, because that's always the worst thing when I make cookies is like, oh, well, do you want this giant cookie or do you want this teeny weeny burnt one? Your choice,
Yeah.
man. I'll take the other one.
You want Gulliver or Lilliput? What do you
Exactly.
got going on here? That's a really good cookie.
Yeah.
Good.
I got the ginger with the cayenne, and I like it because there's just that little snap, just a tiny little snap that goes right alongside the ginger there. Wonderful.
Yeah.
These are nice and moist. They're really good.
For the next 5 minutes of the Foodie Friday podcast, all you're going to hear are chewing and nummy sounds. All right, so
Enjoy.
chew-
Just get into it.
Chewing and nummy sounds here. Taking a bite.
So Maggie likes ice cream. That's her guilty pleasure food. Let's move on down the line. Let's stay on the course here.
Let's go, Jackie. Guilty pleasure
My guilty pleasure food is warm chocolate pudding. And it can't be the instant kind. It actually
Ugh,
has to be
girl.
the kind that you make
Oh,
on
yeah.
the stovetop and you're waiting for it to cool down a little. It gets that little film over the top of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you bust out the can of whipped cream and it melts on there because the pudding's so hot still.
food. Yeah.
That's what I like.
Part
Did you bring
two.
some?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Part two of that is, do you like to let that set in the bowl so you get that chewy crust on top?
Yes.
And then you love that even more, don't
I
you?
do.
Yeah.
Yep, I do.
I knew I could
Love it.
count on you because that's my
It's
favorite.
awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my favorite part too.
Yeah.
And then you dive in under the hard surface.
And then it steams
And
as you
then-
pull it out on the spoon.
Oh man, George, guilty pleasure food.
My wife's peanut butter pie.
Nice.
It
Oh,
is
man.
so good.
How does she make it? I mean, just give us a little
You know what?
outline.
I honestly don't know, and
You're a pie guy. What are you?
I don't want to know because then I'll have to make it. So it's best not to know, and I am very protective of it. It's like I don't want people to try it. I don't want people to have it because it is so good. Like I'll sit down and eat half a pie
Wow.
at a time.
And you have a traveling barn that's called the Mini Apple Pie.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she wants to make a a peanut butter version. So hopefully someday. But yeah, she makes a really good peanut butter pie.
Oh man,
It's real good.
That sounds good. I mean, traditional crust. I mean, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
you
graham
know?
cracker crust.
Oh, so graham cracker
Yeah,
crust.
some
Got it.
chocolate.
Yeah.
And then peanut butter, and then some whip topping, and then she tops it off with either Reese's peanut butter cups or Reese's Pieces. So, yeah, it's real good. Real good. Maybe I'll
liking
share
the
with
sound
you.
of that.
Maybe I'll share with you.
You could hook a brother up.
I think so.
All right,
I think
I'm
so.
liking the sound of this already.
One bite. One bite.
Well, we broke the ice here, don't you think, with Foodie Friday 5 here, my friends? We're feeling good. Is the Xanax kicking in yet for everybody? Maggie, how you doing? Wake up, Meg.
I know. That's pretty good. Yeah.
I crushed in two for you. Wake up, Meg. Hey, Meg, I want to start as we get into mini apple pie and Minnie's Diner and a cookie cart. I want to dial in with you. Give us a little background on the history of Cookie Cart and how long it's been around and where it started. I mean, whose idea was this to do this thing? Teaching kids about baking and business and money. I mean, that's what the narrative is. Maybe you can explain what the narrative is while you tell us about the background too.
Yeah, so Cookie Cart, it was started in the late 80s by a nun. Her name is Sister Jean. And she started Cookie Cart really very organically. So she saw kids in the neighborhood in North Minneapolis who needed a safe space to go after school. And so she started inviting them into her home, doing homework and making cookies. And the Cookie King thing kind of stuck. And pretty soon she had a whole porch full of kids who were wanting to come in and make cookies. So they started selling the cookies. I think we have a picture 1 or 7 for $1 or something like that. So super cheap. But it really caught on for kids in the neighborhood and whatnot. So then we were able to furnish a bakery. We got out of her house, and we started a bakery where they just had kids coming in and selling cookies, and they got to keep the profits from the cookies. But really, in the last 10 years, we've more formalized from just selling the cookies to providing those different classroom activities. So we provide them with the customer service, financial literacy, kind of employment training classes. So they get paid for all of it. This year we'll hire 200 teenagers who will work in the bakery and making the cookies, which are so uniform because we have to be with teenagers. So yeah, it's really started organically by a nun. And she's still living, actually. She's an honorary board member in Northeast.
That's
so.
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's really inspiring.
You mentioned that it began at her home. Was there a point where like the people came in from the city and whatever and said, you're selling this stuff, we're gonna have to work out something with licensing or health issues, or was that more of an organic thing? Two people saw what was going on, thought it was cool, and said, let's just make this continue.
Yeah. No one came in and told her that she couldn't do it in her home anymore. So she really just saw support from the community, from different. General Mills was an early supporter. Holy Name of Jesus was an early supporter. So just people in the community really liking the idea of this early stages of social enterprises, which are so popular now. So it was just really, really organic how it started.
What kind of support does Cookie Cart need? Like, how can
Yeah.
someone like me help out Cookie Cart?
Yeah. Well, our revenue model, a third is from cookie sales, so buying cookies helps. A third is from individual donations, and then a third is from corporate grants. So all the money that we raise goes into paying more teenagers, more hours, more work experience for them. But just buying cookies helps, volunteering in our bakery, and then individual donations are 3 major ways where individuals can get involved.
I can definitely buy some cookies.
We can make
yeah,
that
I
happen.
can budget that in.
We can make that happen.
You should come to our storefront bakery. It's
Yes.
in North Minneapolis on West Broadway. The teens are off of school right now, so they'll be ready and willing to help you with that. And
Do you
Yeah.
have a website for
we
Cookie
do,
Cart?
yeah. It's cookiecart.org, so you
Okay.
can go and check it out, order cookies right online, make donations right online. So.
Very good.
There's a cool thing
Yeah.
going on right now. It's the 25% off deal through the end of June, too.
Yep.
So grad parties,
Yeah.
weddings, or whatever special event you might be having, a corporate picnic or any. So
Yeah,
what's the deal?
Father's Day.
Father's Day. So what's the deal with that? I mean, will they do like a custom decoration on the cookie, that sort of thing,
you
or
can
what
get
is it?
25% off any order that if you just want a dozen
Regular
chocolate
cookies,
chip.
yeah,
Yep. Or
okay.
you can do custom cookies with the university that you're going to. We can do your logo on there. All of our
Nice.
teens hand decorate the cookies. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fun.
So any barbecue. You can pair it with your steak,
Yeah, awesome.
yeah. We can deliver all over. So
Did Sister Jean, or does she have a cookie recipe? Was there an original Sister Jean cookie?
yeah, there was, and It's interesting. We've tried to recreate it, but I think, yeah.
It sounds like every story we've heard so far about, what was, how do you say it in Polish?
Babci.
The babci, and, and your family.
Yeah,
and so that's great.
Yeah. So we've had supporters come in and kind of fine tune our recipes, which has definitely helped
But what
improve
was
our
the flavor
product.
profile of that cookie? I mean,
I think it had everything in the kitchen sink in there, from like puffed rice and chocolate chips and oatmeal, and
I
so
love it.
very much a monster kind of cookie.
When the kids get involved now, you mentioned 10 years or so ago, more of the sort of cross-section or slices of the pie, were added to the narrative of kids being a part of Cookie Cart. Financial lessons, learning how to run the business, or looking at
Hospitality.
spreadsheets, hospitality, all those kinds. So more of that was added. So what I'm getting at is in the cross-section of all the things that are available for kids to learn. When a kid gets involved in Cookie Cart, do they learn? Is it part of their narrative to learn all of those things then? That's the thing?
Yep.
That's the deal?
So when a teen comes and applies and goes through an interview and whatnot, it's about a year-long process. And so they take all the different classes, usually starting with 360 because it kind of teaches the basic ins and outs of having a job. And then customer service, financial literacy, and NCRC are 4 core programs. So typically when a teen is done with those programs, then they're ready to go out and get another job in the future.
What's
So, yes.
NCRCR? What was that?
Yeah, NCRC, it's National Career
NCRC,
Readiness.
okay, gotcha.
Yep, so it's similar to the ACTs as for school. NCRC is for employment, so other employers will put it, or will recognize it, I should say. So it's something tangible that they can put on their resume, the teenagers.
That's a solid then. That's a
Yeah.
real solid.
Yep, they're also getting Serve Safe certified.
Oh, nice.
So we're offering those
Perfect.
2 certifications.
Nice.
So,
Are these all high school kids, or?
yeah, 15 through 18 years
Okay.
old. Yep, largely from North Minneapolis.
What's the timeline on that program? How long does it take for someone to go through all of those certifications and processes?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the individual. Some
Okay.
need a little more time, some not so much, but usually about a year.
So there's some leniency to it.
Yeah,
give and
yeah,
take, definitely.
customization.
Cool.
Yeah, 'cause-
Very cool.
Yeah, teenagers are different, so.
Do you guys follow up afterwards? Like, what do these individuals do for a living? Are they in the restaurant business, hotels, or?
Yeah, so we're still kind of collecting some data on what our teens are doing, but when they stop in, they're often at school or different retail jobs. Typically, they're about 17 years old, so they're really just exploring what they're going to do next. Is it college? Is it, different
Okay.
kind of vocational training? So, but they tend to go more customer service route because we have such an exceptional training for that. So that's what they kind of go
Yeah.
towards. But we're not training bakers or people to work in the
No, yep.
food industry. We're really just teaching them basic employment skills so it can be tangible for any environment.
Who are the people that are teaching these
Yeah,
kids?
I was going to just ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have different partners throughout the community. So for our financial literacy training, we bring in a person from U.S. Bank who's partnered with Junior Achievement, teaching their curriculum. So really experts in the community who are wanting to help our teenagers are who we really try to bring in and teach those classes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's just lovely. From West Broadway to Interstate 94 is a matter of minutes, and then from that intersection to Rogers is about 30. So I think you got some potential employees there.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Looking down in the
Most
future,
definitely.
or anybody in the community. I mean, that's really. I mean, like you said, it's not specifically teaching about baking. It's not specifically about teaching restaurant hospitality, food service, but they are learning those skills. And that's pretty
Yep.
cool, especially the safe serve part and HACCP training and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
pretty
really
interesting.
fun. It's so wonderful to watch a teen start out in our program and be kind of shy, not want to make eye contact.
Yeah.
And then just watch them blossom throughout their program. It's so fun to see them look someone in the eye, shake their hand, and tell them about theirself and what they learned at Cookie Cart. It's so inspiring.
So it's not to say that all the people that are living in the North Minneapolis community are disenfranchised or having a hard time, in situations in life, but there is a significant level of that going on. And so that's really a bright, shining star for Minneapolis and St. Paul. And there are other programs similar to that, but Cookie Cart is very unique, so I want to throw some props to you guys that way. In that it is teaching those life lessons, not just again the basics about the food thing. That's that's sort of the foundation to just teach everything else, and
Yep.
that's really neat. So even things like how to balance your checkbook, I mean, how to manage your money that way, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they go through all that in the financial literacy course of, what is a savings account? What is a checking account? Why is it important to go and get that set up and direct deposit instead of going to a different bank where they might take a portion of your check? And So they go through all those work life and leadership skills are what we're really trying to teach the teens, and not just having them come clock in and clock out like they would at a more traditional first job.
You brought up leadership skills. When you've got 200 kids and staffs and other things like that, then do some of the kids elevate, or are they elevated to roles that are like team leaders or patrol leaders or whatever the case may be?
Yeah. So our teenagers start out at kind of a rookie stage. So they're fresh, they're new, they don't really know a lot about working. But then once they show kind of a leadership role in that rookie role, then they're promoted to what we call a cart captain. So the cart captains are the one who then checks the order that the rookie packs. So they are kind of training that rookie on what to do in the bakery and how to clean and how to do all of our jobs at Cookie Cart. So that's kind of an initial step. And then some of our teens, who are about 10 or so people every year, get promoted to bakery assistants. So those are the ones who are kind of running the shift. You have to be 18 to push the cookies in the oven, so going and doing that sort of thing. And it's so fun to watch them go from being a rookie to being a bakery assistant, and really, that peer mentoring in terms of, I was in your shoes, this is how to do it, and kind of transforming the lives of those rookies.
Well, to take ownership and agency, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you find them do you observe and find that the camaraderie it builds on those different teams and stuff? Where I got your back. Don't worry about that. The kind of things that happen when teams are working together.
Yep. There's that camaraderie, but there's also that level of importance. Like they'll call out the rookie if they're not packing the order right. Like, this is only 11 cookies. It needs to be 12, and so. They call one another out. But they're all peers, so they're all the same age, so they know what one another is going through. So that's that relatability factor.
God, just outstanding. Outstanding. So get those orders in through June 30th.
Yep.
And there are other things that happen along the way. This is just one of the latest sort of special offerings from Cookie Cart. So, just ping that website every now and again, cookiecart.org.
Yep.
And you can make orders online, and you can, visit the storefront on West Broadway and, and see the kids. I mean, that's what I would encourage,
Yeah, it's really fun.
Visit the storefront.
It's so wonderful.
Yeah, and see them in action, and get those cookies, and they're affordable too. It's not like they're costing you more than going to any other bakery or any other facility. I mean, they're affordable and they're
great.
And they're great.
They're really good.
Yeah, that really was outstanding. And Lydia, I hope you just take that box and put it in a special spot so nobody else sees it.
I keep looking at it.
Take all those with us.
Slowly move the cookies off the
At the
table.
end of the show, those are going home with BT.
Oh, are they?
Or are they? Hey, a quick moment here before we segue to Minnie's Diner and Minnie Apple Pie. Your Twin Cities hit show happens every day here on the Alive and
Every
Social
day?
Network, 9:30 to 10:30 with Rusty Gatenby and Shannon and Chuck. They bring you current events that happen, the day before, the night before. It's a really fun show. I was honored to be asked to come in and join Rusty and Shannon on Monday of this week. And I've listened to the show, of course, too, but just to be a part of the action in the room and all the audio pieces and audio bits that they line up. It's a really active, audio-engaged podcast, I guess is the best way I would describe it. And again, it's all filled with current events and things that are going on.
Pop culture.
Yeah, totally on your radar for that day that that happened the previous night or whatever the case may be. Frankly, I neglected to listen the day after we went to the Twins game, the Kansas City game, whereby I wanted to hear what the audio was the next day with Rusty and the crew. In regard to Torrey Hunter, tearing off his uniform and tossing it on the field. And I'm still regretting this moment because Lydia and myself and Cosmo, her brother, and Lori, my lovely wife, we go to the game. It's Lydia's first time at Target Field.
Ever.
We got dugout. We got twins. We got twins dugout seats. So we're sitting, really nice. The guys are right there, and Mauer's tossing balls up to the kids, and they're right next to us. Hey Joe, and the little kids grabbing the balls, just memories to be made. So we're that close to obviously home plate, and where all the action with Torrey happened in the 8th inning, but. In the 7th inning stretch, the Twins are down 7-1. And like my father used to do when we go to a double feature at the drive-in, 15 freaking minutes before the end of the second movie.
Pack it up!
We're out of here.
No, Dad, no. Now, I must say, for to my benefit or to my defense here, nobody of the other three in the Turner family said, "No, Dad, no." that wasn't it. I just said, hey, the guys are way behind. We'll listen to the rest of the game on Go 96.3, the radio home of the ball club. We'll drive home. We'll listen to the rest of the game, and hopefully they'll pull it out at the end, and we'll really regret that we weren't there to see 9 home runs, in the last 2 innings. But I don't think that's going to happen. And everybody's like, yeah, okay, we'll go. But sure enough, 20 minutes later, the big drama of Torrey and the whole thing. And that umpire was awful the whole evening. I mean, he was. Lydia and her brother were kind of riffing on other things. I don't think they were watching the performance of the umpire too much.
It was the experience that I was there for.
Yeah. Yes, and it was the Fulton-infused moments for you guys. So we'll just say.
It was Summit.
Let's
get it
Summit.
straight.
All right, I'm just going craft brew in general. And so we all had fun. I mean, it was a great evening at the ballpark, perfect weather. But dang, missed that Torrey stuff. I mean, he would have been right there, almost.
But they talked about it on Twin Cities Hit Show.
I'm sure. What I'm getting is, I'm sure they did, and I missed that show. But you can always listen to these podcasts after the fact. That's the whole thing. So just make your way to the Twin Cities Hit Show and get a lineup of what was going on Thursday morning after that whole Torrey Hunter and Twins thing on Wednesday, because I'm sure it was pretty funny. So join Rusty and Shannon and Chuck Monday through Friday, and also they do live shows at the Chart House in Lakeville.
Yeah, they do.
On Thursday evenings at 5 o'clock, so that's pretty cool stuff. So give those guys a listen. Again, it's podcasting, so at your convenience. George, Lydia and I were honored to be judges in the first ever, and now I'm guessing first annual, food vendor competition for Grand Old Day. And I was kind of surprised when we were asked to do that, not so much that we were asked, but that this was the first one they'd ever done.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
20 plus years of Grand Old Day, food vendors have been a part of it from the get-go, and that this was the first time, but that's cool. I mean, I was happy that it happened, and I was honored that we were both asked to be judges. And so that you could opt in, I guess, voluntarily, then. Was that the idea? So give us a little idea, as they reached out to you guys. It was just, hey, you're a vendor, okay, would you like us to have judges come around and
put
scope
up
it
a
out?
sign in your stand, and then you pick an item that you want the judges to try.
Okay.
So we picked our mini pumpkin pie,
Yep.
which is unique. Most people, when they think of pumpkin pie, they don't think of deep fried. So, we,
It's like a pie hot pocket.
Absolutely.
In like the best and nicest sense.
Yep. And a lot of times people are like, oh, it can't be done, or it won't taste good.
Right.
Well, we proved them wrong.
Oh, it was absolutely delicious.
Thank you.
One thing that I liked about it is that it was a relatively hot day. So it's a summer day, and 80-something degrees, but you wouldn't think, okay, I'm going to have a deep-fried hot pumpkin pie or apple pie or whatever pie you choose. But what made the difference was the 2 delicious scoops of ice cream.
Isn't that good?
And it balanced it out.
Yeah.
It made it really delicious on a hot day where you normally wouldn't think you'd do something like that.
Yeah, most definitely. We partner up with Kemp's, so that's a local company, and so that's their cinnamon ice cream and vanilla ice cream. So and all of our employees, including myself, anytime we have a pie, we always do the vanilla and cinnamon because it just complements it. The way it blends together.
Yeah.
It just complements all the flavors really well.
Yeah, it sure did. It was really delicious.
Yeah.
The pie had, like you said, Lydia said, like a hot pocket. So it's sort of a crescent pie or like a campfire pie. Where it's a circle. You put the filling and you fold it over, so you've got that semicircle.
Yep, like half moon shape. Yep.
Yeah, half moon shape, and you crimp the ends, and then
we actually my mom actually worked on that crust recipe literally every day for 9 months.
Really?
No lie.
Yeah.
No lie.
And
so
was she
all
going-
employees at the restaurant were very grateful to be working during that time.
More experiments? Yay! Thank you, Mrs. Atzadakos. Thank you, Mama. Yeah.
So
That's just great. I mean, did you go old school? So I mean, like lard or not, or
no, it's actually a vegan.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
nice.
it is, yep.
So I didn't know that part of the narrative. That's really cool.
No lard. We did try it, but it just left that like chalkiness in your mouth.
But I tell you, lard gives it a flakiness generally that you don't get from other things. Obviously you have to do the whole lard preparation right in order to make that happen. But I'm just throwing some props to your mom then because it had that old. That's why I'm asking. It had that old school type of flavor and texture to it.
Yeah, and I think that's what she wanted when she was coming up with it. She wanted it to be flaky, and a lot of people, like, if you tell them that it's deep fried, they don't believe you because it's not greasy at all.
Not at all.
And it is flaky. So She put a lot of hard work into it, but she was skeptical when we came up with the idea. It was my sister and I, and she's like, "No, it can't be done." You know,
Your mama?
Oh yeah. And then my dad was there too. I remember they were sitting in the booth, and basically it was during the state fair. And, we were pretty slow at the restaurant because everyone's at the fair. Mm-hmm. So I told my sister, I'm like, you know what? We got to come up with a fair food. And I remember growing up, being like 8, 9 years old, 10 years old. My dad, every year during the state fair, watched the news and, they talk about the food. He'd be like, oh, I wish I could take my baked apple pie there. So, but he's like, it takes 3 hours to bake,
And something he made in the restaurant.
Yeah,
right.
Yep. So, I always... that stuck with me. So when we were at Minnie's Diner, who at the time was called Cottage Grill, mm-hmm. I'm like, why don't we take Dad's recipe and change it and make it deep fryable? And so we said that to Mom and Dad. They're like, oh, that's impossible. You can't do that. Yeah. So my sister, who knew their recipe, kind of played around with it, presented it to them, and they absolutely loved it. And they're like, all right, you might be onto something. So yeah, she worked on it for 9 months, and then the following year we started applying to some county fairs, Grand Old Abe being one of them.
Yeah.
And we got in, and...
but let me step back for just a second, because you said your sister kind of took the recipe and played with it.
Yep.
And then Mom and Dad went, hey, this is pretty cool.
Yep.
But then, at that point... as a Greek mama will do, Mama stepped in. Is what
oh,
you're
yeah,
saying.
she
See,
took
that's
over.
What I'm taking,
So
right?
she could do it
Right.
better.
That's what I'm asking. That's why
yeah.
I wanted to step back there,
Yeah.
because then it was Mama that spent 9 months.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea was cool.
Yep.
And so now let's perfect it. And it's
Yep.
just it's like
And-
like a Greek mom, and I throw props out in that regard. Because I spent a lot of time around Greek mamas when I lived in Greece, and they were that way. It's like, okay, that's a good idea, but now let's and we're going to make it perfect.
Yeah. Everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfect
Right.
with her, and
Right.
she's there overseeing every step of the process
That's
till this
lovely.
day.
What was your house like growing up?
A lot of food. Look
A
at
lot
me.
of.
Oh, George, you're not,
Yeah, you need to eat more. Come on.
Yeah. George, you're just what we would call huggable. You know?
But both parents were cooking. Did they
Yeah,
did they both have specialties that they kind of honed in on? And you're like, oh
I mean,
man,
it's
Dad's
just-
making the apple pie again. Here we go.
Yeah, my dad was, he did a lot of grilling.
Okay.
He was, and he still does. He does like these lamb shanks on the grill that
Yeah.
are just phenomenal.
Does Mama make the moussaka and the dolmades and things like that?
Pasticcio,
Mhm.
spanakopita, all that stuff, and then
Busting out the philo for for the
baklava,
desserts and the baklava and things. Yeah,
She still makes it at the diner.
Yeah, nice.
So, it's really, really
which
good.
is labor intensive.
Oh, yeah,
like,
most
hugely
definitely.
so. Yeah, but so delicious when done
and,
that way.
There's shortcuts that can be made, but she
will not do
no,
it.
Oh no,
Yeah, right.
everybody makes the shortcuts. No, it's not good that way.
Right. I mean, come on, George. 9 months on the crust.
Yeah, exactly.
We know where your
Yeah,
mama's coming
exactly.
from.
Yep.
That's just great. Are your mom and dad, are they first generation American, second, or not? Or
I'm first generation born here.
Yeah. So they came here from where?
Yep, from Greece.
I know that, but from where? From what city? From where? From Crete? From the mainland? From
okay.
the Peloponnesus? Where did they grow up?
Asopos. It's a small village. It's south of Sparta, about an hour south.
Right on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, it was very poor. Like my dad, he didn't get his first pair of shoes until he was 12 years old.
Really?
Yeah. So
walking barefoot. Yeah.
Yep. When he left Greece, they still didn't have running water, electricity. He was like 25 years old. So his uncle owned a restaurant here called Peter's Grill.
Oh, sure.
Yep. So
I thought I recognized the name.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
sure.
he went. My dad's uncle Peter went back to visit, and he's like, you should really come back, and I've got a job for you and whatnot. So he borrowed my dad money to fly him down, so he wouldn't pay for the ticket. So he borrowed him the money, flew there, and his first job was sitting in the basement right off 9th and Marquette peeling potatoes.
Yep, just basic stuff.
Yep, real basic, and a lot of potatoes. And and then after that, he started baking, and that's kind of how he got into the baked apple pie. They did have an apple pie recipe, but he kind of
a legendary one, actually.
and he actually kind of changed it, modified it, and that's when it started to become well known.
So that your dad's is actually the legendary one, then,
Yep,
right?
he's
right.
the guy.
I've had more than my share of slices of that apple pie. Because I used to work downtown for years and loved Peter's Grill. Yeah, absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that was his home.
All the different locations.
Yep.
Yeah.
with your dad's story, it's phenomenal. Going to Minnie's Diner website, he came to America in 1966, $7 in his pocket,
Yep.
living the American dream, going and doing and succeeding in that. Did you feel a pressure in your family to kind of continue that lineage down and to continue with cooking and baking?
No, not at all.
Okay.
They didn't ever, tell me this is what we think
Yep.
you should do or anything like that. They let me experiment. I was actually in car sales for a while. I really enjoyed that. And
Up in the Rogers area then?
nope, I
Because
actually
I only ask because there's a lot of car
yeah,
car
no, I
lots
was
up there.
I was
yeah.
actually I went to Stout. And after I graduated from Stout, I helped open up some Timber Lodge steakhouses.
Okay.
And then after that, I opened up, or I didn't open, but I had a restaurant in Dinkytown called the Steak Knife, and now it's called Tony's Diner.
Okay.
And then after that, I went and worked for Chris and Rob Chicago Style Eatery.
I know those boys real
Yep,
well.
Yep,
yeah.
right down the road here. Yep. And then after that, I went and sold cars, and my parents were retired, and they wanted to open up a restaurant. Basically, my mom wanted to open up a restaurant. My dad didn't. And they're like, will you take a month off and, come help us?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, sure, no problem. I'll
Yeah.
take a month off. Well,
Yeah.
7-8 years later.
Here we are.
And so your dad was still working at Peters when that whole idea came. Let's do our own thing.
No,
or?
he sold Peters in 2003.
Okay,
And
yeah.
that's when he retired.
Gotcha.
So, and then in 2008, that's when we bought the place in Rogers.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Can we get rocking on some pie?
Yes, we can.
We've all had cookies.
Yeah.
I
but-
brought some forks upstairs. They're in that box back there.
Correct.
I'll go get them.
But George was gracious enough to bring. We have apple pie today.
Apple, yep.
Apple. Okay.
Jackie, did you grow up, in a whole food narrative in your family or not? I mean, what was the
no.
background for you, Jackie
I
Dusowski?
grew up in New York, upstate New York,
Uh-huh.
and then I was very nomadic growing up because my dad moved us around quite a bit. I ended up after high school and college settling in Milwaukee for about 12 years, and when I was 15 and had my first job, it was in the restaurant business, and I just kind of grew up having played a role in every position possible in a restaurant. After college, I was actually a manager at the Hyatt hotels in both Chicago and Milwaukee.
Uh-huh.
And then I worked for mom and pop places, independently owned places. And I ended up moving to Minnesota about 5 years ago and actually had a desk job for doing marketing for a HVAC manufacturer rep company. And although the people were very nice and very professional, I'm just not wired to sit at a desk all day.
No.
Yep.
So my husband actually went out to eat with a friend that had met George once or twice and brought him to Minnie's. And my husband made a comment that, oh, my wife would love this place, meaning the food, the decor, the style of the restaurant. And after I had negotiated with George for almost a year, I found out afterwards that the comment his friend had made about the restaurant being for sale, it actually was never for sale. And so all the meetings that I had with George up until that point, they were very productive and great. And George he adopted me and basically sold me the diner side of things. So I'm super excited about it because I'm very passionate about it. And I think that we make a good team. And I think that we're going to be able to grow the place quite a bit in the next few years.
Yeah,
So
very fun. Do you get your fingers dirty in the kitchen, so to speak,
Absolutely.
now more than
Yep,
that's something
absolutely.
that really wasn't a part of your narrative, as like you said, along the way. So
Yeah.
now you're really into it. Though.
I love it. And when I was younger, I had my own catering business, and
Oh, you
then
did that? Okay, yeah.
just a small one. And then right when it kind of started taking off, I had met my husband and we had kids, so I kind of put it on the back burner. But upon taking over Minnie's, I didn't realize how much of the food I would actually have to personally make because I was kind of taking George's mom's. Not that I could ever take her place, but I was kind of taking over her role as
Right.
Sure.
making a lot of the things from scratch. And so it's actually my most favorite part about the whole job is that I can actually be back there and making the biscuits
Yeah.
and cinnamon rolls and caramel rolls and gravies and all the other things that I participate in making. So I just totally love it.
Did you get some training from Mama at Sadakos then?
Yep, a little bit from her and
That's
from
cool.
George.
I bet you that was fun.
And from his dad too.
Yeah, you
which
hanging
was
out with
awesome.
Mom and Dad, but it must have been really fun.
I love his parents. They're so genuine. They're so nice. They're probably, and his sister. They're like the nicest family I've probably ever met. So I'm excited that they adopted me. I'm moving in next week.
We're happy to have her too.
Yeah,
She's
it's
awesome.
great.
Next thing you know, you'll be making your own moussaka, or are you? I mean, do
Well,
you feature a lot of Greek recipes there or not?
We kept everything the same. We didn't want to. George and his family worked really hard on developing a menu and food items that the community embraced.
that were good for Rogers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because one thing that I struggled with when we first moved out here was actually finding a good place to eat. There's a ton of corporate chains. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, lots
but
of 'em,
I
yeah.
I actually live in Elk River, and so there's like
That's
five.
tricky out
There's
there.
5 different pizza places and Applebee's, and I think like all fast food. And so it was really hard for me to find something that I actually enjoyed eating all the time that was kind of health conscious and homemade. And I don't know, when I found Mini Center, I really enjoyed the food. And because it is authentic and a lot of the stuff is from scratch, like I like that about it. I embrace that. So
Yeah.
I was really excited to be able to be a part of it.
And the drive ain't too bad from Elk River to
No,
Rogers, so that
much
works out real
better.
well for you.
Yeah, very good. It works out awesome, actually. So
I got to throw some props out. I've been doing a lot of props today, but they're all deserved. And my dear friend Paul Fletcher is, my old workmate at Cities 97.
Yeah.
And we remain good friends to this day, even though
Great
we're on
guy.
different stations. That's the way the broadcast business works, like the restaurant business.
Yeah.
You know, people move around, chef goes over. It's not like, well, you're at a different shop now.
Yeah.
You're the enemy. It's
Yeah.
not the way it works at all. People think it is that way sometimes, but it's not, especially in those two fields. And so Paul, he and his wife Spencer and their lovely baby Elsie, they got a house in Rogers about, I guess, 3-4 years ago now. I have timeline's lost on me specifically, but I know he's a regular, isn't he?
Yes,
I
yes.
love that.
Yep.
we are actually, it's still being scheduled, but the verbal agreement is there that Paul is actually going to invent a burger for our menu.
Nice.
Because I'm going through a menu engineering right now where we're keeping it the same, but we are taking a few of the items that aren't as popular off, and we're basically going to make room for his burger that he creates. So we're trying to coordinate. We're trying to coordinate times with him and George, and then our kitchen manager, just so we can all be there to make it kind of a big ordeal. And then a portion of all the sales of that burger will go to the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah, he's a
There
big
you go.
supporter of
Yeah,
Ronald
yep,
McDonald House.
we're very
been doing
excited
a lot of
about
good
it.
work there, and that'd be what a wonderful nod for you guys
Yep.
too. Then,
Yep.
yeah. Has he given you any inklings what the Fletcher burger might contain?
He did, but I don't want to give away any surprises yet.
Let's keep it
until
secret
it's,
and
Yeah.
safe.
until
No, that's-
it's ready to roll.
That's
so,
fine. I
yeah.
only asked it in the context of this. Is it kind of funky and weird?
It is kind of funky and weird.
Okay,
but
good. That's all I
sounds
wanted to hear.
delicious
then.
too. So yeah, we're excited about it.
What incited the menu change? Was it just kind of like, we're not selling these items, they're not coming through so much, like, let's try and find something that will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's just we have a very big menu, and so we just kind of worked with our food guy, and he basically did a menu analysis of all of our products and the things that we're selling, like at least quite a few every day. Obviously, we're going to keep the most popular items, but we have a kind of a small kitchen, and we've been getting busier since I took over ownership, and so I'm trying to just make it smaller so that our kitchen can keep up
little
with
more
the demand.
streamlined, yeah.
It's a little bit easier for them. We don't want to get rid of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We still want to be able to offer all three.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to kind of cut a couple things out that aren't selling really anyway. So.
And it's always a sign of a good staff.
And it's mostly things that we don't make homemade, so it's,
Okay.
it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
It's
So you
really
keep
nice.
that strong, homemade narrative going on, the storyline there too. And it's always the sign of a good staff when owners can step away on a Friday afternoon to do a Foodie Friday podcast, and they're like really calm aside from the drugs that I passed into their water earlier. We already covered that. That's surreptitious Xanax in the water, but
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are just chill, and that because things are going just fine
Yeah.
back at the
Yeah,
shop.
The staff's awesome there.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
do have an
just-
awesome staff.
Well, and you got a great staff too with your Minneapolis, traveling barn.
Yeah.
By the way, the most beautiful. I'm throwing a compliment to you here. Really, the most beautiful, pretty, clean. You always
So
look at the
clean.
food truck and the mobile food trucks. From a cleanliness perspective. Just like when I go to a cafe or a diner or a restaurant, I know this may sound weird, but I go to the restroom first.
I do that
You
too.
do that
Yeah,
too. See, you see where I'm coming from.
Yep, I do that
if,
too.
if the rest facility
Yep.
is nice and clean clean and,
Yep.
and just comfortable to be in. And then, that's where I start my adventure. And then,
Yeah.
it's the same sort of thing,
Yep.
though, I think.
I
you
do
know,
the
if
exact
it's,
same
It is.
thing.
and then when it's not, it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the food going
I'll
to be
just
like?
have water.
But, yeah. And the saltine. That's it. Yeah, in the package, please. But that the mini apple pie trailer, just lovely. I mean, great signage. Great catchphrases like the one that's on the box you brought. I'm going to invoke Paul McCartney. So live and let pie. Bum, bum. Live and let pie. So yeah, really, really nice display. When we were judging the different categories at Grand Old Day, we added a category. Lydia and I did.
Sure did.
Yeah, because there was taste.
Because we're overachievers, and
Taste
we
of-
had to make every single booth
Yeah.
because we were judging every booth.
And
we can't.
we're the only two judges that did that.
We
by
were.
the way.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Taste, appeal, appearance. There are 4 categories. They're lost on me now.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines. But one was missing and we just called it personality. It's really probably hospitality.
Yeah,
Better way to describe it.
attitude.
Yeah, and all those things. So like the appearance of the booth, the interaction with the people selling us the food, just that whole hospitality part of the hospitality business
Yep.
that you're in. And so we did scores along the side. And you guys got, it's a 1 through 5, and gosh, I think we both gave you perfect scores.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
including
nice.
including hospitality.
Thank you.
And, because again, the booth was beautiful, and you guys were really sweet to talk to, and we were open and everything. But it wasn't just to us judges. You weren't trying to impress us. We stood back then because that's what it's really about, and watched how Sarah was there and you were there, and just kind of watched the interaction with. How everybody was being treated,
Yeah.
and so that was just lovely.
Well,
so
that's good to hear. Thank you.
yeah, ace work there. Really nice
Thanks.
stuff. So, a website for you guys too, then, or not? I mean, if people want to have the mini apple pie
Yep.
trailer make their way to an event, or where do they reach you?
Minneapplepie.com
Yeah, okay.
or minisdiner.com
Yeah.
goes to the same website.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So, that's cool. So they're both kind of
Yep.
listed there,
Yep.
and you can kind of reach either one that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're staying connected with the website just because we are under his trademark.
Yep.
And I started doing catering at the diner, so that's
Nice.
kind of starting to take off, which is exciting.
Super. Kind of
And-
going back to your
yep,
old roots a
yep.
little bit. Yeah.
And we're going to kind of keep it all together on the same page.
And
so.
Jackie, do you have room at the diner to do like special events too? If people are up in
Yep.
St. Michael area, Rogers, Elk River, Maple Grove, whatever, and they wanted to have a gathering of 10, 20 people for a business
Yep.
meeting or any kind of thing, you
Absolutely.
can do that kind of thing too.
Yep, I do. And because we do close at 3:00 Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, if anybody ever wants to book the space after that time, they just have to let us know and we'll
Yeah.
open it just for them. So
that sounds great.
Yeah, it is nice. It seats about 125
Oh,
people.
lots of room there then. Yeah, good.
Yep.
It's time to bring Foodie Friday to a close. George Atsadakos here from Mini Apple Pie and Minnie's Diner, and Jackie Dusosky here from Minnie's Diner, soon to be the home of the Juicy Fletchy Burger. And Maggie McCauley here, sales and community outreach person for Cookie Cart. Again, through June 30th, right, Meg? Get those cookie orders
Yep.
in right now.
Yep.
And get a 25% discount. CookieCart.org.
I just want to ask really quick, both parties here. What's next? So, Minnie's Diner, mini apple pie. You have the brick and mortar. You have a food barn. What's next? You guys have any things that are coming up in the future for you?
Well, on our end, we're trying to go into more retail. We are in Kowalski's in the bakery section. So
Cool.
right now we are working on going into the freezer section. So it's going to be mini apple pie and serving of the cinnamon ice cream.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully we can be in some grocery stores.
And collaborating with Kemp's to do that as you're
Correct.
using Kemp's?
Yep.
Nice, very
Yep.
nice.
So, and then with Jackie and I go ahead.
Oh, on
Jackie.
the diner side, we're hoping to open another location.
Oh, nice.
So,
Real
yeah.
good.
So-
In the Rogers area?
No, just in Minnesota somewhere. So
Yeah, the whole mini thing would work
have,
anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a lot of areas that would be successful, but probably in about a year we might start shopping around for the perfect location for the second store. So
Could be Detroit Lakes, Maggie
Excited.
McCauley.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
be the DL. Could be the DL.
Yes. Or North Minneapolis. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's next in store for Cookie Cart?
Yeah, so this year we'll hire 200 teenagers, providing 30,000 hours of employment training at our Minneapolis site. And then we're looking to open a site in St. Paul.
Nice.
So hopefully up and running by 2017. So we're looking to do that soon. So
Thanks.
stay tuned.
Thanks for the treats, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for the treats, you
Yeah, it was
guys.
great to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks.
good to have
It was
you here,
really fun.
George
Thank you.
and Jackie. Good stuff to you all. And there's another Foodie Friday here on the Alive and Social Network.
Coming in hot, always fresh, never stale. Thanks for listening.